Hi everyone. After 2 days of blizzard, it's super sunny outside now, so I had to close the curtains. And it's my first day off this week from my main job, so let's get into the news. They have proposed prison sentences for tampering with a car's mileage. Criminal liability should also be introduced for falsifying data in the car history report, stated Deputy Panesh. I hope I pronounced the last name correctly. I agree with this because a long time ago, probably about 10 years ago, I was selling my car. Back then I had an Accord from 2004. The mileage had already reached almost 400,000. I really loved that car. Man, out of all the different cars I have ever had in my life, that was truly the most legendary ride I have ever experienced. It just had soul, you know. I liked everything about it. Everything was awesome. But in the end, I traded it in, and about 6 months or a year later, someone called my number. Somehow he managed to find my contact information and decided he bought that car. As it turned out, instead of 400,000 kilometers, the odometer showed 130. And he started asking questions about the car. He said because, well, I got curious about its history. So as it turned out, it was the dealership itself, not just some random person, that rolled back the mileage and put the car up for sale at a higher price. But I reassured the guy because I had taken care of the car for myself. At the time I was in a tough spot, so I had replaced and rebuilt the engine and even installed a completely new transmission. He actually suggested meeting up, but honestly, I'm not really a fan of meeting people or socializing much. I'm more the type who, if someone needs help with something, I'm happy to do it. But as for meetings, I just don't really like them. So in the end, I agree with that. That shouldn't happen because if a car really has 400,000 kilometers on it, no matter how you look at it, the metal will start to rust. You have to understand that it's an old car, and with a mileage of 100 or 130,000, it's a completely different car. And even if it has a good engine and a good transmission, the components still age, and that's something you need to realize. And when people deceive each other like this, well, it's bad. It can lead to accidents and consequences. Germany wants to cooperate with BRICS, but on one condition. Berlin is interested in working together with the countries of the organization, but without Russia and China, stated the head of the German Foreign Ministry. Boom. So they want to remove from BRICS the two main countries that are the very founders of the BRICS organization itself and work without them. Europe, as always. Well, it all makes sense. For Europe, it makes sense. The Shanghai company Agibot has unveiled a Kung Fu Master robot. I'm reporting this news a bit late. Probably everyone has already seen it. The Agibot 3 can strike while jumping, perform spinning kicks at various angles, do flips, and always hits its target precisely. The main meme, they want to use the robot for tours and as an escort. I don't know why they're making robots like this. What is its purpose? It seems to me it's just for entertainment, really. By the way, let me know, why is everyone trying to make humanoid robots? After all, it would make more sense to design a robot that's completely different. The United States has launched a campaign for voluntary donations to pay off the national debt of $38 trillion, according to the US Treasury Department. For those living in America, tell me, have you donated to the US government? The concentration of the 10 largest companies in the S&P 500 index has reached a historic high. This figure has even surpassed the levels recorded on the eve of the market crash during the Great Depression. I've been following the S&P 500 market for a long time. And yes, the imbalance there is just absolutely extreme. That is, almost 40% of the entire index now comes from just 10% of the stocks. And that's kind of abnormal because the index is called the S&P 500, meaning 500 companies. But it turns out that 10 companies make up almost 40% of the entire index. That's not normal. Ryabkov. I don't know who this is. I didn't bother Googling it. Most likely he is a State Duma deputy. BRICS creates an alternative to everything that the US can turn off with one button. Yes, that makes sense. The fact that what it all came to, how Russia was cut off from the main world, it was clear that other countries would look at this and start joining various alliances like BRICS and creating their own payment systems. Even if you take, for example, that Russia had its gold and foreign currency reserves, 300 billion frozen, that's not normal either, because now no country will want to keep its assets in Europe and will gradually, carefully, without saying anything about it, start moving their money out of there. Because if there is one precedent, that's it. It means it can happen again with any country. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, Europe is now losing huge investments because of this. And if they don't return the money, then it will just snowball. All countries will simply withdraw their funds and sell off all European assets. By the way, the US acted more cunningly here. They didn't block anything and are doing everything very carefully. So even if something was blocked somewhere, it's not for large amounts, and they still try to unblock assets with each other for equal amounts. So in this regard, the US is definitely smarter. Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company is valued at 230 times its annual profits, while Google is around 28. I don't know what they based this on or how they evaluated all these companies. But if you look at the statistics they've provided us, then yes, it turns out to be the most profitable, X, and also Elon Musk's company. Bitcoin can never fall to $0 because Adam Back has placed a buy order for 21 million Bitcoins at the price of 0.01. By the way, there's a note here about who Adam Back is. He is the CEO of Blockstream. I don't know who wrote this. Probably someone not very bright because, well, okay, Bitcoin won't drop to 0.01 and then he'll have a buy order for 21 million Bitcoins. But that's not actually a huge amount. Because for some reason people don't take into account that Bitcoin might not fall to 0.01, but to 0.000000001 or 0 and then 10 zeros and a 1. So Bitcoin still has plenty of room to fall. The real question is, will it actually fall to that value? That's a different question altogether. China is leaving the dollar system at rocket speed while it still can. It is dumping American bonds. It now has 683 billion left, the lowest level since 2008. Meanwhile, China's gold reserves have been growing for 15 consecutive months, reaching 370 billion. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Although I was just talking about Europe again, China is looking to the future and is even dumping American government bonds. And it looks like we're gradually returning to the gold standard. I mean, look, almost all countries are starting to buy up gold. Elon Musk's X platform will launch trading in cryptocurrencies and securities. Well, if they get the license, then yes, they will launch it. It seems like every door is opening for Elon Musk right now. And if it happens, well, that would actually be cool. The competition among brokers would be great because some brokers charge outrageous commissions. And if Elon Musk's commission is, well, reasonable. Although, if people who don't understand trading and investing come in, and just because this feature appears on the platform, they probably won't pay attention to the commissions. But for those who have been trading for a long time, you should definitely pay attention to the commissions because sometimes they eat up the lion's share of your earnings. And now, a bit of statistics. Around $29 billion are spent worldwide on gifts for February 14th. In the US, the average bill is about $200, while in Russia in 2026, it will be 8,000 rubles. Well, apparently these numbers are probably about right because, even if you try to do something symbolic for those around you by the time you buy a bouquet and all that, it probably does add up to about that amount. Write in the comments, what did your girlfriend give you for February 14th? A razor and socks? Aurus has stopped production. There's no demand. All government agencies have already bought them, but Russians and foreigners can't afford the car. It even says in the article that even Kim Jong-un has switched back to a Maybach. And right after that, the next news comes out. The pause in assembling Aurus cars in Yelabuga is currently due to the modernization of production facilities. Preparations are underway for the release of an updated model, apparently the Aurus Senate. I've never sat inside an Aurus, I haven't even stood next to one. I have no idea what the car is actually like, but let's be honest, 70 million for a car, that's, in my opinion, extremely expensive. So if they want to compete with global giants and car manufacturers, I think they really need to lower the price. Finland wants to seize homes from Russians under the pretext of protecting national security. The country is planning to annul deals made over the past 20 years and confiscate property acquired by Russians in Finland, reports the publication Suomenmaa, citing Finland's Minister of Defense. Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. Europe is just messing around with some nonsense. Because when you take away from people what they bought with their own money, even in your own country, that's called investment. That's investment in real estate, for example, right? So other countries will look at this and won't want to buy real estate in your country. The same thing is happening in other European countries. If Russians own property there, it just gets taken away from them. All right, 10, 20, 30, 40 years will pass. Right now, I'm looking at this from an economic and investment perspective. I'm not getting into politics. Something will happen with another country, and they'll start taking away apartments from that country. Once there's a precedent, that's it. No country will want to deal with that. Some hypothetical Thai, American, or Mexican, for example, won't want to buy an apartment in Finland anymore because there's a precedent. Russians are having their apartments taken away. Why? Just because national security?